Greg, now we're gonna spine our rods. What is the spine?
What is the spine of a rod blank? A commonly asked question. Basically, the spine is how the rod wants to flex and bend, right? So rod blanks are made by taking sheets of material, rolling them over a steel mandrel, and baking them in an oven until they're done curing, right? And it's that overlap of material that, when dried, the rod just wants to flex one way. It's a lot easier for us to bend up and forward, right, rather than side to side and twist.
Right.
So if you build and line your guides up off spine, you get potentially a lot of rod twisting and stress on the guides and the rod itself. Whereas if it's built on spine, you're just getting the maximum performance out of that rod.
Yeah.
So that's when you're determining the spine, how the rod wants to flex, and then line up your guides accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of anglers can probably relate to this when they've been fighting a fish. You can actually sometimes feel that,
right?
If it's not built on the spine,
right? Especially offshore, you get a lot more torque towards the fish comes to the boat. All of a sudden, you get that last pull, and that rod's bending.
Yeah.
So, but all rods benefit by building on the spine. So,
how do we find it?
Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. The first way we'll show you is with the Crb Spine Finder, right? This is kind of a foolproof way to find the spine. A couple of things we'll do to kind of prep the rod blank first. So inside the Crb Spine Finder is a steel bearing, right? And that's going to roll. Because it's steel and we're going to put load on it, just put a little bit of tape on it, just provide any nicking or that might occur.
Right.
And what you do is you just line up your rod blank inside of here. There we go. And on the top third of the rod blank, you want to just put a little bit of load, a little higher. There you go, perfect, right? That's enough. And we have a little taped flag here. Now that's not required to spine the rod. This is just for a visual as we're doing it here.
I got you.
And you just roll the rod and you'll see it kind of snap into place right there. And you notice a little tough rolling out of it. That means you found the spine. So right about there's where it gets hung up, and that's where the spine is right there. Sometimes it'll snap more than just be tough to roll out of. Sometimes it's very pronounced. It snaps and it's also tough to roll out of.
Different in every rod then.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but something like this, you can really feel it as you're twisting it where the rod is. So now that we've found the spine of the rod, right, we're going to take our China marker and mark the spine. Now this is going to tell us what side of the blank the guides will line up on.
Sure.
If you're doing a casting or conventional setup, the guides will go on top of the flex,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
Fly and spinning will go underneath, right?
Yep.
So in this case, we're actually going to build a spinning setup. So I'm going to take my China marker and I'm just going to mark underneath here. And there we have it. We've spined this rod. Now the second way to do it, if you don't have a spine finder, is simply just take your rod, and again, we put a little tape flag here just as a visual, and get it on a flat surface, typically on the floor, but so they can see what we're doing, we'll do it on the tabletop. And again, on the top third, you want to place some load on your rod, and you just want to spin it.
Just roll on with this hand.
Yep, and you notice this one has a pronounced one. It actually snaps. Well, there's a partial snap there, and really here it's a real tough one. And that's the spine on that rod. And on this one, we're building a casting rod. So we're actually going to take a China marker, this time a white one so it shows up better.
Yeah.
And we're going to mark this side of the spine. If we were doing spinning, we'd go on the inside because that's how the rod, but on the casting or conventional, the guides go on top.
Top, right?
Right?
Oh.
And from there, you use the spine mark to line up a number of things, not only the guides, but it's also going to be used to line up the reel seat and all the other components.
Cool.
So it's very important to get a proper spine on the rod blank for performance, and it sets up the entire build from there.
Excellent. Yep.